This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. I'm asking you a big question tonight. A question that you've probably asked yourself. You probably thought about it in your spare time, when you're heading to bed or when you're waking up in the morning. You know, we humans want to be better than we were yesterday. We want to excel. We want to be happy and healthy and have an amazing life. We don't like pain. We don't like to be made fun of. And we definitely don't like to have to pander to people who we know deep down inside don't like us. And it's an interesting scenario being a human because there's a part of us that have that people-pleasing gene. We want everybody to like us because we care to some degree. But bigger than that, I think it's a little bit about ego, but I think it's about fitting in. Everybody to some degree wants to fit in. And the desire to fit in can override our true selves. So tonight, are you ready to take that next step in your life? Are you ready to make an amazing, successful jump? I think you're ready for it. I know I am. And I think for a lot of us, certain things have been holding us back, but I think it's about us. I think it's about holding on to old ideas, holding on to old friendships, holding on to old ideologies, and holding on to fear. So tonight we're going to let go. We're going to step into a new phase in our life, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be pretty funny too. Because I'm going to share some stories with you that'll probably connect with you on many levels. And you will not only laugh, but you'll feel my pain. So, are we ready to take that next step together? I am. If you are, let's go. You know, the first thing that we want to do to enable this next successful step to be rooted and grounded and authentic in reality and in all goodness is we have to stop worrying what other people think about us. And, you know, the time to do that is any time in life, right? But let me give you a successful scenario. You've basically bettered your life on almost every single realm and every single factor. You've let go of addictions. You've let go of those things that are holding you back. You've moved into a new realm of thought. And for years, you have been cultivating this higher learning, this higher self. And at that point, when you've really been working on yourself for a long period of time, and you've done a lot of soul searching, and you've done a lot of meditation, and you've done a lot of prayer, and you've really put yourself out there to understand and to learn and to cultivate that and to be honest and authentic and not to put up airs or masks, not to BS people, not to act like you're somebody that you're not, but you've actually gotten to the core of you and you've begun to realize what that feels like. And I think for some of us, when you get to that core, it's very enlightening and it's awesome. But, there's a point of being scared possibly, because you start looking around and without placing judgment, you can see that many people are living a different life. There's masks, there's airs, there's detachment, there's overcompensation. And without placing judgment, you begin to realize, however, that just because you're in this great space and you're still trying to work to be better than you were yesterday, that other people might not be in that same space. And until they're in that same space, you get to realize that they're not going to really understand you for who you are. I know. It's tough. The more you move up in a vibrational stance, the higher your spirit begins to become, the deeper you are, the more authentic you are, the more real you are, the more you actually genuinely love every part of you, like altruistically love. You begin to move into different vibrations, higher and higher and higher vibrations that eventually get to a certain level that you will have to find other people that are at that level to get you, to understand you, to be around you. And I think you can understand what I'm talking about, because oftentimes we are worrying about what people think, or we don't understand why somebody hasn't called us or reached out or been there when we've tried to do that. But you have to remember that oftentimes these people aren't where you are, not good or bad, just the way it is. And so when you reach out to them, they don't understand where that's coming from because it's not within them. Okay? So if you're reaching out to somebody altruistically because you genuinely care and you don't want anything from them, and you could really care less about what they have, the car they drive, the money they have, when you're in that situation and you are trying to connect with somebody who is basically driven by money and power and what have you, they're going to look at you coming at them as if you want something from them. They're going to look at you calling them and assume, okay, she wants something from me. She wants my money, or she wants my power, or she wants me. So they're not going to see it as you reaching out to say hi. They're going to see you as having some other concept, some other idea in your mind that you're going after. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. And when people aren't at that same level, they can't understand where you're coming from. They feel like you have an agenda. Because what? Because they have an agenda. Okay, it's a very interesting stance, but now that we get through it, we're going to get a little deeper, but we're going to have some fun. Because we have to stop worrying what other people think, because you know what? The only people that matter, everybody matters. Okay, let's put it that way. Every person on this planet, every animal, every plant matters. But the ones that you can really connect with are the ones that are at your level. And once you figure out who they are, when you start going back into different levels that aren't at yours, you're going to not get what you want. You're probably going to get hurt. You're going to get a little shunned. You might even get avoided or ignored altogether. And that's normal, because when that's happening to you, that means that that person has no idea how to communicate with you. That person also doesn't see your value. On another caveat, however, that person might actually know or feel that you can see through them and you can see where they are, and they want to avoid you like the plague. The more real you are, the more unreal people do not want to spend time with you. Okay, that's just the facts. And it can suck, because oftentimes we don't realize that the people that we want to spend time with just aren't very real. We just kind of assume they are because you're at a certain level, right? And when you're at that level, you assume everybody else is. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's not the case. I wish it was. I wish I could tell you that everybody on the planet's going to unite and we're all going to be best friends and everybody's going to see the value of everybody else and everything's going to be awesome. But that's just not going to happen. And why? Because when people don't see the value within themselves, when people don't see or can't love themselves, they can't love you. If they don't see the value of themselves, they can't see the value of you. You see what I'm saying? If they don't really respect themselves, they're not going to respect you. If they're a complete narcissist based on that as well, they're not going to understand that. You're not even a part of their thought process. You're just there at the moment. So think about those. When I return, I'm going to be talking about the next things that we do to achieve this amazing, successful jump in our life, because I know I'm ready and I know you are too. And it's up to us to make our own changes. And not everybody in the world needs to love you, but it's great to find your niche and it's great to find your tribe. And once you find that tribe and you realize that that's what matters, that's all. No longer are you trying to fit in and be something for people that don't care. All of a sudden you found the people that actually care about you, and you're actually seeing it, and you're part of that culture and part of that love, and that changes your life forever. Stay tuned. Check out the website, ashleyburgess.com, ashleyburges.com. Check out the recent blogs and the recent shows, Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Play, and iHeartRadio, and right here on your local stations. Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess. Be back this time in 2 shakes.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Turn it up and jump in the deep end on Perspectives. Now, here's Ashley.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Are you ready for that next step in your life? Are you ready for the next successful jump? Are you ready? I think you are. I know I am. I'm ready to make the needed changes in my life to get to that next amazing, successful level. And I think you are too. And right before the break, I was talking about how we have to stop worrying what other people think about us. And you know, it's interesting when we think about what other people think about us, we think about a group of people that usually don't respond the way that we kind of assume they will. They don't reach back out. They have a tendency of being aloof and distant. And we're not really thinking about all those other people in our life who seem to be there for us, who are constantly calling and saying hi, and who actually care. And I think we need to refocus our direction. We need to refocus our direction and spend more time with the folks that matter, and that more time with the people that actually honestly understand who we are. And we have to stop worrying what other people personally think about us that don't even know who we are. And let me state that again. Stop worrying what other people are thinking about you with people that don't even know who you are. Because if somebody doesn't understand you and you're deep and you're living in the heart and you're doing the right thing, that means that they're not doing that. Because you can identify someone else as doing what you're doing. You can identify a fellow person who has the same caring and desire as you do. Okay, it's just the way reality is. That's how we are as human beings. We can see when other people are going through the same challenges. We can assume that. We can also connect with people who are going through different emotional changes as we are. And we connect with people who have that same vibrational lifestyle as far as that vibration. So think about everybody has a vibrational level. No matter how high the vibration is or how low the vibrational level is, we can all connect with that. When we're going through some amazing times in our life and really triumphing and becoming successful and being really part of our heart and being authentic and real, you know when people are being authentic and real, okay? On the flip side, if you're being authentic and real all the time and you come into contact with people that aren't, their reaction to you is going to be different. And usually what's funny is we want everybody to like us to some degree because we have that people-pleasing gene. Yeah, the humans do. You know, humans and dogs do, right? We all, dogs want everybody to love them. I mean, most dogs are just the sweetest animals, okay? That's why man's best friend, right? But we're also very similar to that because we want people to like us. We care about what people think. But when you are being authentic and true and real and other people are acting distant or odd or not responding or kind of exiting stage right, that's a sign to you. That's a sign to you. And what is that sign to you? That sign is that they are not on the same level as you are. Because otherwise, if they were being authentic and real and true and honest, they would see where you were and they would definitely communicate. People like to be around other people of the same thought process in the same direction. It's comfortable, it's healing, it's fun, and it's not boring, and it's cool because you can talk to each other on a level that you might not be able to talk to other people on that same level. It's like talking to your own tribe. The deeper you get into who you are and what you stand for, you begin to find a tribe of like-minded people that you can spend time with and be educated and raise yourself up even higher than you already are. So the next step that you can take to even be more successful in your life than you already are is to stop trying to get in where you don't fit in. Yes, I've done it. Yes. Come on, I'm human. We've all tried to get into that group, that organization, the board of some sort of group, a small little clique. We've all tried to get into something like that. Because there was a reason for it, whether we liked the people, whether we believed passionately about the cause, whether it was a combination of the two things. However, it spoke to us. And because of that, you go, you know what? I want to serve. I want to get involved with these people. And it's interesting how when you're in the right place and you're doing what's right and the people around you in that group are doing what's right, open arms. Open arms because they see the fact that you're a good person, you care, you want to do the right thing, you're at that next level, and you're ready to commit. However, if it's a group of people that do not want your involvement and do not want you included, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it on many, many levels. You're going to feel it in the concept of being excluded, and instead of inclusive, you will be excluded. You will feel almost dejected. Okay? And you're supposed to. That's what they're trying to make you feel. And every time you jump back out to try to take care of it, to try to add to it, to try to be a part of it, you're going to come up somewhat empty-handed. And it's interesting how that is. So why do we do that to ourselves? Well, besides the people-pleasing gene, I believe that many of us feel that most of us are at that same emotional level, that same state of mind, that same desire of compassion. But is that really true? No. We put our own thought process and our own love level on other people, and it just doesn't work that way. It's a good idea. I would like everybody to come together in a circle and sing Kumbaya, but is that going to happen? Probably not. And when we realize that and we understand that, we have to look at it and see that we need to spend time with other people that have the same values and the same awareness. Awareness is key. The same awareness and values as we do. And awareness in the fact of not just being aware of your surroundings, but being aware of who you truly are. When you're aware of your level of compassion and your depth and who you are and what you want to be and who you're working to be and how you're trying to be better than you were yesterday, and you surround yourself with people of that same depth, guess what? You got it made. But when you're of that depth, being better than you were yesterday, working and cultivating on your conscious mind, loving and caring and supportive of all people, and understanding that level, and you surround yourself with people that aren't at that level, they don't feel the same way, they have a lot of anger, resentment, and fear, then what happens to you? They don't understand you, so they cut you off at the path. They don't understand you because they can't understand where you're coming from or why you're saying what you're saying, because it makes no sense to them. When you are surrounded by people that actually are trying to better themselves and caring about themselves in a very thoughtful way, you surround yourself with the right people. When you go outside of that and you spend time with people that have certain specific agendas or with a lower frequency, you're going to feel it. And sadly enough, my advice is to walk away. If you really badly want to make a change in life and you have to go through them to do it, then fight. Then you know what? At that point in time, life becomes a battle. But if there's a way to circumvent that, to run around them and to still achieve what you need to achieve without needing them, then that's key. And I think for most of us, when we put our ego aside, we can figure out how to do that. When we put our ego aside, we can figure out what the next step is and how to make that a reality. And I think that's when life becomes, well, yeah, it's challenging, but it's kind of fun. It's challenging, but yet you realize there's always a silver lining, and you never have to get dirty if you don't want to get dirty. Do you see what I'm saying? You can let other people get in the muck and yuck, but you can be above it. When I return, I'm going to be talking about burning bridges. How to be the good person. How to be a loving person without people thinking you're an idiot. And I think many of us have been there where you give of yourself and your time and talent, and you're a good person and you care. And instead of them seeing that as that, they just see you as a pushover, and they see you as easily manipulated. I'll be talking about that when I return from break. In the meantime, check out the Spreaker, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Look for Live Your True Life Perspectives. And also listen on the various stations nationwide that are playing the show. And if you are listening to this show right now and you're from another state, from another city, and you'd like to have this show on your own radio at home, go to ashleyburgess.com, click on the contact page, and I'll send you the information for syndication, and we'll get it running on your station. Stay tuned, because Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back this time. I'll be back this time. You know, I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get-started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Are you ready for the next step in your life? Are you ready for that next successful path? Are you ready to be more successful mentally, emotionally, physically than you already are? Well, tonight I'm talking about some steps that you can take right now to maximize your time here on Earth, to feel better about yourself, and to really focus and harness your energy in the right places at the right time to benefit you even more. Yeah, I figure this stuff out. Day by day, I have these massive downloads of information, it seems like. And every day I learn, no matter if it's during a path of resistance that I'm dealing with, or dealing with other folks that might not have my best interest at heart, or dealing with people who are my friends and who care. I learn from all aspects of life, and I cultivate those thoughts and those learning patterns, and I put them together. And, I work with my clients on this in my own practice, but I also talk about this on the show because I think it's the right for you to know, because I think you're already on the right path, and it's just kind of explaining the thought process. Right before the break, I was talking about stop trying to get in where you don't fit in. It's a big deal. A lot of us do it. A lot of us do that because we just don't understand why somebody wouldn't want our involvement. We don't understand why somebody wouldn't want us to be involved. We don't understand why somebody would want to keep us out. What's their reason? And that's the key, is that oftentimes, in order to understand that, you would have to understand someone from a different perspective. You'd have to understand somebody at a different frequency than you. Because if you think about it, at least to me, I'm very inclusive. I love to include people. I'm very proactive. I'm very loving. I'm supportive. But when you come into contact with people who aren't, you need to divert and go the other way. Or if you need something or you want something, you're going to probably have to fight for it. And you're going to deal with people around you that don't have the same values. And if you can do that, and if you can make that work, more power to you. Because that says something about you. It shows that you have fortitude and desire. But there's also people that have fortitude and desire that begin to wonder if going up that path is the right path to go, because isn't there a better way? Isn't there a more harmonious way to live? Isn't there a better way to appreciate life? So right now I want to ask you about number 3. Because this step 3, I think, is one of the biggest steps that good people, authentic people, truthful people will go through. And that is, how do you not burn bridges? But when somebody feels that you're a good person, you put yourself out there and you do good things and you help people out, and that's interpreted as you being a pushover or easily manipulated. Or they think in their mind that you're the idiot. Think about it. Think about the last time you did something for somebody. You went out of your way, you did it, and you kind of know that you were used, and they kind of didn't really reciprocate. And or for example, somebody is not being honest with you, and they're telling you a bunch of falsehoods, right? Some of you would call it lies. I call it falsehoods. And they tell you a bunch of falsehoods, okay? And it's not true. And you don't know if it's not true based on their own mental capacity or they're covering up for something else or what have you. But you just kind of go with the flow because you just don't want to call them out as a liar. What do you do? Because I find that interesting, because we've always heard in our life, don't burn bridges. But are you necessarily burning bridges to call someone out? Because are they really bridging anything to you? Because it doesn't sound like they're actually offering you any sort of goodness. But I think that's always an interesting concept, is when authentic, awesome people get looked upon as pansies and pushovers. And since when did that begin? I guess since the beginning of time. And I think that in order to avoid that situation, for the most part, you have to sit and stand and hang out with and work with and commit to other people who other people would consider a pushover, a pansy, an idiot. Because if you are rightfully being authentic and honest and true in all your actions, okay, then if people try to take advantage of you or they think they are, then it's their problem. But I think all in all, the good people have to win at some point, right? I mean, it's kind of like the movies, you know? You get some of those movies out there where the good guy loses, and it's painful to watch. It's freaking painful to watch, okay? After a while, you're like, come on, dude. You know? Because the good guy always does win if you think about it. Some way, somehow, the good guy's going to pull it out. The righteous person, the authentic person. However, they might have to win by not playing other people's games. They might have to win by not playing other people's games. Okay? When we begin to play other people's games and jump into their life and do what they're doing, how are we going to win? It's like a fish trying to climb a tree. The fish is not going to do a very good job climbing that tree, right? First off, the fish has got to get out of the fish bowl. That's hard on its own. Then it's got to breathe, above water, and then it's got to climb with its fins up the top of the tree. That's not going to happen, right? But a squirrel can climb a tree. But if you're a fish trying to compete with that squirrel, you're screwed. You're screwed. So think about that in the thought process of the human condition. So if you're a good person trying to compete with somebody that's evil, you're not going to win because you don't know how to play evil. You didn't get a degree from Dr. Evil's university. You're not going to win. Why? Because you're trying to play their game. So how do you circumvent, not play their game and still win? Right? How do you not play their game and still win? And I think that's when you have to get into your heart of hearts and you got to sit there and listen to your inner self and you've got to figure out what's right for you. And you've got to figure out what you need to do for yourself to better your life, to better your situation, to do what's right and to stay on course. Because I think sometimes in life we begin to champion other people, which is great, but we begin to fight other people's fights. Does that make sense? And when we begin to fight other people's fights, what happens? We lose. Because we shouldn't go in and try to fight other people's fights. We should go in and actually be a part of our life, be sympathetic for the other person's plight, for sure. Help out in any way we can, for sure. But are we supposed to step in and fight for them? I don't think so. I think they've got to do it. I think they've got to ultimately do this to make this happen. And I think that when we jump in and try to save the day, the hero trying to save the day, is the hero heartfelt or is the hero looked at like a jerk? Because the inner perspective of the people that are doing what they want to do already, that might not be doing the right thing, don't want to deal with the hero. They don't like the hero. They want the hero to leave. And so if you're the hero, you're going to get that backlash. They're not going to want you to fit in, and they're going to treat you pretty badly. So how do you deal with that? Like, I know that you're probably listening to this show going, man, when was you're thinking about the last time that somebody walked all over you. And I think you got to sit there and do things altruistically through your heart. You got to do things based on the fact that you want to do it. Not because you have to, because you want to. Okay? It's the same as lending money. Do not lend money because somebody says they're going to pay you back. Never, ever, ever do that. Yeah, I did that before. Yeah, it doesn't come back. Okay. And it's painful because, even though they kept promising that they'd pay you back, they don't. And then eventually what happens, they disappear and they're no longer around and they get quiet and they just assume that they're just not going to pay you back. Okay. So the same thing applies. Get into situations based on the fact that you are doing it altruistically, not because of what's going to come back for you, not because of the accolades that you're going to get, but because you're doing it because you actually honestly care. Because you care so much about helping out that you don't necessarily care about the outcome. And when we remove ourselves from expectations and from the outcome, what happens? Our life gets pretty amazing, right? Because we're not based solely on, well, if I can just get this, I'll be happy. If I can just get that, I'll be happy. Because that's kind of the human condition, right? When we're not completely evolved, I've been there for a while as far as the, if I get that, I'm happier. Where you sit there and go, well, if I could just get that job promotion. Well, if I could just buy that house. Well, if I could just get a new car. Think about it. I'd be happier. But are we really happier? I don't think so. Because the problem is we don't stop there. We don't stop there. We keep escalating it. We keep increasing to the next level. Well, now that I have that car, if I could just get that boat, I'll be happy. If I could just add on that second story to the new house I got, I'd be happy. I just got that promotion, but if I could get my boss's job and have my boss's hours, then I'd be happy. If I could just join that country club and be with those people and hang out with them, I'd be happy. That's what advertising is all about. Drink this, eat this, and you're going to be at the top of your game. Is that true? No. Isn't it funny how the simpler life, eating simpler things, is always better for you, healthier? Yep. But, we buy into the advertising all the time, and we buy into the hype as well when we look at other people and situations and desire and want what they have. Stay tuned when I return to me talking about how do you call a spade, but better yet, how to get in exactly where you fit in and find your tribe. Because once you find your tribe, you're doing pretty good. You don't have time for anything else. And it also helps you to see the value in your own life, in your own direction. If you're looking for a life coach or a therapist, look no further. Go online to Ashley Burgess, BERGES.com, Ashley, BERGES.com. Click on that contact page, send me a note. I will definitely respond within 48 hours, and we can start our immediate session soon. I look forward to working with you. Stay tuned because Live Your True Life Perspectives, your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back this time. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
You could be my luck. Get in here. You're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. I've been talking tonight about being even more successful than you already are. Getting to that next level, overcoming adversity, strengthening yourself, strengthening your mind, body, and your direction in life. Yes, I'm talking about mastering, being a master of your life. Being able to understand why people do what they do, being able to avoid situations that will only cause you pain and agony, and be able to see through people's actions, attitudes, discontent, malcontent, and understand exactly where you stand. Life is an interesting scenario. It's interesting how oftentimes when somebody acts a certain way to us, we automatically feel as though we caused it, that it was our problem, that if we had said something differently or acted differently, they would have responded differently, therefore everything would have been fine, life would have been great, and everybody would be singing Kumbaya. But that's just not real. There'll be a lot of people out there in the universe that don't get you. They don't understand you at all. There'll be people out there that you want to be great friends with that don't want to be great friends with you for whatever reason. You can make them feel bad about themselves and you don't even know. You can make them feel insecure and you don't even know. Most of it is all based on their own mindset. Okay? A big piece of thought for you. Something to chew on. When people talk to you, when you don't know them very well and they're speaking to you and they're asking you questions, it's all based on their observations, but it's also based on their internal thought process as well as their subconscious and conscious mind. Oftentimes when people are talking to you, they're not really even talking to you, they're talking to themselves. Okay? Often when people bring up your insecurities or your issues, they're bringing up their own. And it's funny how a lot of us are like, oh, well, also, I don't want to wear that because I wore that the other day and I don't want people to see me in the same outfit. Well, I'll be honest with you. Most people have no clue what you wore and have no idea because they're not paying attention to you. They're paying attention to themselves. Okay, now that we figured that out, So how do we call a spade a spade? How do we just say, hey, can we do that without burning bridges? I think to some degree we can. And I think it's done with our intent. Our intent to recognize who we want to spend time with. Our intent to recognize who connects with us. Our intent to recognize our direction in life. And I think once we realize that, explaining to other people why we can't spend time with them and why we just do not get along or see eye to eye is not necessary. It's not necessary. But I think to overcome that and to move on, we have to really look at each individual relationship for how it is, to see if that's a cultivating, reasonable, helpful relationship, a sincere relationship. And if not, it's time to move on. It's time to move on. Not every relationship that we have is going to be the right one. Not every one of them is necessary, and some of them are just kind of there. And once we begin to realize that, we can also champion ourselves and realize, okay, hey, I like that person for them being a person. I care about them as a human being, but I just don't have anything in common with them. And that's okay. That's okay. And I think when we realize that, all of a sudden life changes. Because we're not trying to get them to like us. We're not trying to get them to see eye to eye. Instead, we're just being who we are. And that's what truly matters. And that's where we are in our life. And I think when we realize that and we stop trying to get people to like us and we realize that the people who are going to like us are connected with us and they're going to sense it on the moment of arrival, all of a sudden, wow, life becomes a little more interesting. It becomes a little more easier, and our setbacks become not setbacks at all. They become knowledge-based experiments. Life is like a big experiment. So the next time you're in a situation that you're not like totally stoked about, like a big argument with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or a conversation with your boss that begins to go a certain direction, see it as an experiment instead of being emotionally connected. When we see it as an experiment, we're not so emotionally connected that we allow what needs to happen to happen. Do you see what I'm saying? We allow what needs to happen. And on top of that, we come up with the right case scenario because we're not connected to the emotional outcome. Instead, we're looking at it as an experiment, allowing things to be in its own nature, its own petri dish. And it's kind of neat because we can kind of step back and say, hey, there's a lot of options, there's a lot of opportunities here. Which way do I want to go? So now I want to talk about the 5 things you can do today, tomorrow, right now, throughout the rest of your life to become more successful and happier. The first thing is to ultimately listen to your heart. To ultimately listen to your heart in all situations. And I'm not talking about your emotions of fear or anger or resentment or infatuation or like, romantic passion. I'm talking about listening to your heart. What makes your heart sing? What connects you to your higher self? What makes your soul feel good? What makes you feel soulful? If you're doing things that are not making you feel soulful, then you need to recognize that and you need to stop doing that. Whether that's hanging out with the wrong people, whether it's going down the wrong direction, whether that's trying to fight other people's battles for them, whatever that is, it's time to wake up, smell the coffee, and to detach from that and then ask yourself, why was I going down that road? What was I trying to accomplish? What was I trying to do? The second thing is to feel the vibe. It's up to you to feel the vibe of every event, every place you're at, every meeting you're at. It's up to you. You have the ability. You have the conscious ability to connect and to understand where you stand in any situation. You also have the ability to understand who's a friend and who's a foe. You also have the ability to understand who honestly does not understand you and who does. Okay, because oftentimes when people don't understand someone else, they represent themselves as a foe because they don't understand you, they don't get you. Even though you could be the most passionate, wonderful person in the world, if they don't understand that way of life and it's not within them, they're not going to understand you. Okay? So, for example, let me give you an example. So, if you have two people hanging out, one person is a cold-blooded killer, and the other person is a lover and creator and awesome, authentic person who truly is passionate and cares about people and animals and all that good stuff, and they're in a meeting together, that cold-blooded killer's going to think that that lover, that awesome person, has got massive game because they're trying to kill them through some other way. Like it's all a game. They're not believing this person is genuine because they don't understand that, because that's not within their mindset. That's not within their body. They don't have access. They have not allowed themselves access. Let me put it that way. We all have access to goodness. They have not allowed themselves access to goodness. They have literally shut themselves down from that, and so they don't understand why that person's acting like that, and they think that person has a agenda, a hidden agenda. They might think they might be, one of the best assassins in the world because they have this outward sign of love and caring when it's all BS. See, the thing is that if you're hanging out with people that don't get you and they're not on the same value level, it's not going to help you. It's just going to take away from you. Who wants that? Who wants that? I don't. That's a waste of time. That's wasting your precious moments on planet Earth to hang out with somebody that has no idea your values, no idea of what you offer, no idea of your greatness. Nothing. Who wants to do that? The third thing you can begin to do is to spend your time wisely. Like I was saying, don't waste your time on people and situations that don't understand you, don't care about you, don't love you. And I know this can be hard because we all want to be loved and cared by everybody. We do have that people-pleasing gene a little, and we want people to really like us and care about us. And we want everybody to be like, oh, wow, I love Ashley. She's awesome. But you know what? That's not always going to happen. And when it doesn't, and you're a good person and you're doing the right thing, you got to pat yourself on the back and realize that you probably dodged a bullet. It's hard to see it that way. It's hard to see when somebody doesn't want you in. It's hard to see that that's the right thing. It feels like you're being dejected. It feels like you are being left out in the cold. And to some degree you are, but you know what? That might be the best thing that could be happening. The fourth thing you want to do is to avoid fear-based people. People that thrive on fear and that buy into all the fear factors are the ones that are the first person to react. They're very reactive and they're very angry and they're scared. And the last person you want around you is a reactive, scared, and angry person. One, it does nothing for you. Two, they're hard to be around. And three, usually, they're dealing with certain issues in their life. And oftentimes, people that are in that situation are all encompassed in that. They're fearful of people, they're fearful of outside influences, and they're fearful of anything they don't understand. And you want to avoid fear, because fear and anger and being scared and reactive can unfortunately rub off on other people and cause that reactive response. Instead of being reactive, being thoughtful. Instead of being fear-based, having love. Instead of being scared, being open-minded and passionate and real. Last but not least, number 5 is to spend time with people that make you feel good and you make them feel good. If your heart sings and you feel good and you feel soulfully free and awesome around somebody, keep doing it. If you feel closed off, if you feel stressed out, if you feel on edge, really recognize that. And begin to realize that this situation or this group of people or this person isn't right for you. It's not like they're wrong. It's just time for you to move on. And it's up to you to better your life. It's up to you to see the situation. It's up to you to open your heart and see yourself as who you are and to recognize the value you have, to begin to treat yourself better and to only allow the people around you that bring you up instead of take you down. Check out the website, ashleyburgess.com, BERGES.com. It's time to power up, and I believe in you. I'm doing the journey with you. I look forward to seeing you on the path with me. If you'd like to contact me, go to ashleyburgess.com, click on that contact page, send me a message. It'll come to me directly, and I'll respond within 48 hours. I look forward to hearing from you. Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess. Be back this time. I'll be back this time. Well, I'll be back this time in 3 shakes.